Hi everyone, welcome to We Belong Education video series. My name is Saurabh Malviya and today I want to talk to you about identity. Outcome number 1 of My Time, Our Place talks about children having strong sense of identity. But we don't often talk about educators having strong sense of identity or even having any sense of identity for that matter. See, when we talk about identity, individual identity maybe, or one which is influenced by the society, collective identity, we often relate ourselves to the jobs we do for a living or the profession we are involved in. So when people ask, what do you do for a living, which is a very common question, we often say, what do we do for a living to make money? Because that's the identity. People make assumptions about us. People form an assumption of us because of the job we do. And still, to some extent, satisfying the Industrial Revolution, the academic argument maybe. But even we start relating ourselves to that identity, to that workplace identity. So let's say being an educator, if you're going on a street and you swear, people around you would say, hey, you work with children, you can't swear. And now this is after you have finished your work. So people still expect you to be an educator outside your workplace because the workplace has already formed your identity. Now that's interesting because right now in self-isolation, that is the same identity which has been challenged. See, some of us don't have a job, and some of us who do have a job now have a job in a different capacity. They are unable to contribute to their workplace in the same manner they were doing it last week or a week before. And that got me thinking as to, is it a great chance for us to self-realize during self-isolation, to look at, do some metacognition and ask yourself as to why did I even end up with this profession, or why do I always relate myself to this workplace? Given that there is no workplace, the question would be, what do you stand for? I hope that the workplace, non-existence of workplace doesn't stay for long, but for the next 2 weeks maybe, it would be a great opportunity for us to explore and self-realize, as Maslow would say, about something about ourselves, instead of only relating ourselves to the workplace identity. As an example, if somebody had asked me, what do I do or who am I would have said something in lines of that I'm a consultant or I lecture at university or something in lines of that. But given that I am not doing that in the same capacity, if somebody was to ask me right now, what do I do or what keeps me occupied, it won't be those things. So that's something which I'm realizing about myself, that I love having stimulating conversations. I love having conversations which lets me teach new things. That is something which I've realized about myself in these self-isolation days. So if I was not doing this, I would have been with a coordinator, with an educational leader maybe, with a principal of a school perhaps, talking about children development, talking about staff coming together, communication, motivation. Those are the conversations I would have been involved in, or perhaps on a webinar. But now none of that exists. So I then had to A, realize that I like such conversations, and B, put a structure so that such conversations are not going to exist, but something else might stimulate my brain. So that could be playing a guitar, learning a new skill, doing the gym, and getting a routine set such that when the dust settles, maybe I would have figured out something about myself which exists at the moment, but I am blind to it. So I reckon that this self-isolation is a great opportunity for self-realization. And perhaps we can create an identity which is independent of our profession. And maybe when we go back to our workplaces, we would have different stories to share, which have nothing to do with bringing money to home. I hope that this video was useful to some extent. Please let me know as to what you are discovering about yourself in these self-isolation days. And I hope that these self-isolation days don't stay for long. But if they do, we would keep discovering a lot more about ourselves. Look after yourself in these global pandemics and look after the people you love. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day ahead. Goodbye.